The previous video in this series, Agile by Example, we discussed about Agile Scrum. It was rather a long video. I tried to explain the Agile Scrum workflow, the benefits through a shopping cart application. But do you think that Scrum is the only Agile solution when a company goes for an Agile transformation? Does Scrum work in all the departments? No. Let's take an example. You are a part of a big multinational company where you have plenty of development teams, you are contributing to a product, and you have another team called IT support team. The IT support team is responsible to resolve the day-to-day issues the other teams are facing, or installing software, or kind of system administration. As a part of the previously mentioned Agile transformation, if this team also decided to go with the Scrum, what happens? Imagine as a part of the development team, I come in the morning, my laptop is not booting. I create a ticket for the IT support team because the development team, we are the customers for that team, or we are giving the task to the team. Then if they follow the Scrum implementation, what happens? My ticket will go to the backlog. They will be already in a sprint, maybe fixing some other issues. Then the product owner in that team will prioritize my issues. Being an MNC, there could be multiple tickets from many team members, and the priorities are different there, but still the product owner prioritizes it, and the team does a refinement, and it's taken into a sprint. But I'm still waiting because my system is not booting. I cannot wait for weeks. And if they follow the Scrum in their process implementation, this happens. So Scrum is not an ideal methodology for such teams, support teams, where they have continuous request comes in and the turnaround time is very short. That's why today we are going to talk about Kanban. Kanban is an excellent agile solution for that team than Scrum. You can find a lot of information about how the Kanban got evolved into the agile world, but maybe a one-liner history. It was adopted by Toyota in 1940s, and later on it came into agile and lean world. I believe that you already know about Scrum. Let's start comparing Scrum and Kanban. If you are new to this video, maybe it will be really good if you can check out my previous video to understand Scrum, or you can check out some videos about Scrum or some tutorials about Scrum so that you understand what I'm saying now. So in the screen, you can see here, Kanban focuses on continuous flow and delivery. And there are no roles as such like Scrum Master in Kanban. Their efficiency is measured in lead time, cycle time, work in progress. On the other side, the Scrum team is measured by velocity. And like the previous example, in Kanban, change can happen at any time. But in Scrum, the changes cannot happen during the sprint. Those are the two or few major differences between Kanban and Scrum. So Kanban is more like a visual workflow. The focus is on more workflow. So going back to the previous example, when I create a ticket saying that my system is not booting, the same day, the team will get a notification. It will go to their digital board or physical board into a to-do list. And the same day, during the stand-up, one of the team member will pick it up. Maybe the booting example is not that great here. Maybe installing a software could be a better one. But still, doesn't matter. So one of the team member will take it up and they will try to finish as early and move to done. That's what meant by continuous flow and delivery. So in an ideal Kanban board, there will be only 3 columns: to do, doing, done, and there could be a blocker. And the blocker, the items in the blocker are very critical in Kanban. If there are blockers, the team will give more priority to the blocker. Maybe they will go for a pair programming or something, or pairing. Like maybe a blocker could be due to one team member's, lack of understanding about the system. Then someone experienced will come into the game and they will fix the issues as early. Kanban, I think it can be considered as like imagine a real life scenario. If you want to wash your clothes, you have a lot of clothes, you take the clothes, put it in the washing machine, start the washing machine, but then you change the mind. But you can't take it back, right? Because it needs to go through that cycle. It needs to go through the dry phase, maybe ironing, then only he'll get the clothes back. Otherwise, it won't be usable. So Kanban, you can compare it with that particular real life example, because their focus is more on workflow, getting the things done as early. And personally, I noticed that Kanban is excellent when a team is autonomous. If the team is in a forming state, maybe you may need an additional role there. In theory, they say that no roles required. But if the team is new to Kanban, there could be an agile coach to guide them. But when the team goes to a forming or form stage, when they become autonomous, you don't need anyone to guide them. Kanban is a very self-organized team. That's why it's clearly mentioned that there is no such required roles in Kanban. There could be a project manager, but still, collaboration is the key in Kanban. Unlike Scrum, in Scrum, you have predefined roles. You must need a Scrum Master, and he is the owner of the sprint. You must need a product owner. He is the owner of the backlog. And the team members who really does the work. That's the Scrum organization. But in Kanban, no roles. Kanban delivery model. As I mentioned, especially in this particular support case, when a task comes into their to-do list based on the priority, they start working on it and immediately move to done. That means it's done and it's ready to deliver. Continuous delivery. And there could be always scope change to make it ideal for this particular support use case. But in Scrum is also an iterative model, but still it's a time-boxed event. After 2 weeks, you will have a delivery. Till that time, you cannot expect anything. Prioritization. Both of them use as a pull system, where you pull the task from a backlog. In Kanban, it's very simple. It's like your normal personal to-do list, where you take one task. Once the task is complete, no formal estimation, but I know that there are some teams does certain estimations that's required. Ideally, no need of an estimation because they are focusing on finishing it off. That's it. One important point here to mention is the WIP, work in progress. Kanban is more about focusing on one task. Avoid any distractions, avoid any focus switches. And it ensures that the number of items in progress is proportional to the number of team members. So suppose if the team consists of 3 members, there will be only 3 to 4 items in the progress column, so that everyone will be working on one task. And without moving that task, one of the tasks to done, no one is allowed to pull from the to do. If it goes to the blocker, then the next one in the progress list, once they finish the done, maybe you can combine both of the team members to fix the blocked item. But WIP is very important, so that you take one task at a time, ensure that it's delivered properly. In Scrum, there is of course the refinement process. You will have a refinement. You will do the prioritization with the team. In story points, you will have product owner explaining the user story. You will estimate and you will divide it into tasks. A lot of events in that ceremony. But in Kanban, no. Scope changes. Kanban welcomes scope changes at any point of time, because every day they get tasks, they take it into consideration. But in Scrum, once the sprint starts, ideally there are exceptions, but ideally the scope will remain same. And if the scope is getting changed, that's the area to get alerted. It may be a problem of product owner, because product owner may push new stories and the priorities of those particular stories in the backlog get changed and he needs it early. But it's not an ideal case scenario. But in Kanban, it's very flexible. The metrics, how you can estimate the performance of a Kanban team. It's based on the cycle time, or the amount of time it takes to complete one piece of item from beginning to end. In the Scrum, we use velocity, and the velocity will be given as an input for the next sprints to further estimations. There are certain areas Kanban shines well. In some other areas, Scrum shines well. Kanban is ideal for projects with widely varying priorities. As I mentioned in the support example, Kanban is great for the teams who get a lot of incoming requests and the turnaround time is very fast. Other than this particular support use case, from my personal experience, I found, say, when a project goes to a bug fixing phase, I found Kanban is very handy. Because maybe I can tell you the reason after explaining the Scrum. In the case of Scrum, I think it's very good for R&D activities when we have a feature development mode where we have a lot of unknowns. We need to do spikes and all those things, where estimation is centric. I have seen development teams uses Scrum in fixing the bugs. Usually it goes in 2 stages, because when a user story or when a bug comes into a sprint, we need to have an estimation. But it's a bug. We don't know the reason, so we cannot estimate it. So usually I have seen some team members take one bug into one sprint, identify the root cause, update it in the description. Then the next sprint, they will estimate based on the analysis. Then they implement the fix. But that's an overhead. Consider Kanban for bug fixing. It's much easier. And moreover, when a bug comes, when we have a release gating issues and all those things, they cannot wait till that time. The Scrum turnaround time. So Kanban is very good for bug fixing phase. And moreover, when a software project goes into bug fixing, the team will become at least autonomous and more formed in a form stage. So they know that, what are their responsibilities, or they know the system very well. So we don't need a kind of coach or someone. They could be very self-organized, and that's why I mentioned Kanban could be very good there. Software testing, Kanban could go well, because in software testing also they are doing almost same things every day. They will be doing maybe verification, validation, white box testing, black box testing, but Kanban is the best choice, at least in my experience. And as I mentioned, support teams. That's all about Kanban. It was rather a short video compared to my previous Scrum. My idea was to give a quick introduction. As Kanban is more informal than Scrum, we don't need to discuss much. You can find a lot of information about the detailed workflow, Kanban board, and all those things. I'll try to put some information in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. I will come back to you with the next topic in this series.